Game.
Good day, everyone. We are Group 5. So before we start our discussion, let's have first an interfaith. I call on Miss Delia. Thank you.
So Lord, marami pong salamat sa araw na ito and bigyan niyo po ng knowledge and wisdom ang mga magre-report sa umagang ito and naway ang mga makikinig ay ma-apply po namin and another lesson na naman sa amin. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Miss Delia. So next slide po, please. So here's are the reporters of Group 5. First is yours truly, Mixtorea Ann. Second is Miss Belen Edgeline. Third, Miss Mexico Janine. Fourth, Miss Malang Norhaya. Fifth, Miss Capistrano Jacqueline. And lastly is Miss Bananya Patricia. Next slide po. So, let's have first an energizer. So, our energizer will be called Decode Me. So, for the directions, answer the statement by decoding the given numbers. So, as you can see, merong table, merong parang chart na nasa taas and sa letters, yung letters may indicate sa baba na number. So, it will be the representation of the letters na or yung word na mabubuo nyo sa numbers na naka-indicate sa pinakababa itong sunod-sunod na numbers. All you have to do is to decode it into hanggang sa makabuo kayo ng isang word or ng word na nagre-represent sa ating topic today. So you can start decoding na po. Thank you. You can chat your answer in the chat box para mas madaling ma-recognize. Thank you po. Okay, I think um some got the correct answer. Let's reveal the answer na po. So the correct answer is Wilcoxon. So Miss Capistrano got the correct answer. Thank you. Next slide, please. So you can decode it po again for you to get the word that will represent our or that will um give what give an idea about our topic. Okay, I think Miss Delia got the correct answer. Let's reveal na po. So the correct answer is rank sum test. Tama si Miss Delia. Thank you, Miss Delia. Next slide po, please. Ayan, medyo mahaba-haba siya, pero kayang-kaya nyo yan. I-decode nyo lang naman. So, you can type your answer na po in the chat box. Try lang po, at least try. Wala na po bang ibang magsasagot? Pwede po mag-try yung iba. Masyado na pong alam na alam nila Miss Celia at Miss Capistrano. Baka ma-perfect nila. Try naman yung iba. Ay, okay, siguro wala nang gustong mag-try. So, let's reveal the answer. So, yun, non-parametric. Miss Capistrano and Miss Delia got the correct answer. Got the correct answer again. Thank you to both of you. So, next. Ayan, mas mahaba siya. I think it's a two words. Two words siya. So, you can start decoding na po. We have five words up na nagre-represent na kailangan i-decode. So, all you have to do is to decode it po. Madali lang yan. Madali lang po yan. I-decode nyo lang siya. nahirapan na sila sa part na to. Let's reveal the answer na po. Ayan, humabol si Miss Capistrano. Thank you, thank you. Ang ang tama, the answer is independent sample. Next slide, please. So, I think this will be the last word na kailangan i-decode or na i-decode. So, last word po, please. Please decode it po. Thank you.
Diyan ka lang
Okay.
at di pa ako nagbabanlaw. Saka mo na kay Dodong.
I think wala na po. Ayan, umabol si Miss Ascucha. So, let's reveal the answer if Miss Ascucha is correct. Okay, thank you, Miss Escucha. You got the correct answer. Normal approximation. So, next slide po, please. So, our topic for today is Wilcoxon rank sum test or Mann-Whitney test. Next slide po, please. So, for the introduction, may I call on Miss Carulio to read what is the to read the introduction. Thank you. Miss Escucha, I think hindi po makapag-ano si Miss Carolio. Si Miss Escucha, can you read the introduction po? Thank you.
Okay po. Introduction. This lesson contains the discussion of the Wilcoxon rank sum test, a non-parametric test that is alternative to the t-test for independent samples.
Okay, thank you, Miss Escucha. So, our lesson for today is about Wilcoxon rank sum test, which is a non-parametric test that is alternative to t-test. So, t-test is also used in conducting samples from two different groups. So, parehas lang sila ng purpose. Almost the same lang sila ng purpose ng Wilcoxon rank-sum test. Kaya ginagamit rin yung Wilcoxon rank-sum test as an alternative to t-test. So, next slide po, please. So, for our learning outcomes, at the end of the lesson, the learners should be able to compute the value of Wilcoxon rank-sum test and interpret the results. Next slide. So, may I call on Miss Bananya to read what is Wilcoxon rank-sum test? Okay, Miss Edgelyn Belen, can you read what is Wilcoxon rank-sum test? Thank you.
It is a non-parametric test alternative to t-test for two independent samples. It can be used to compare two independent samples or to determine whether two independent samples were selected from population having the same distribution.
Thank you, Miss Belen. So, like what I've said, Wilcoxon rank-sum test is used to compare two independent samples that have that were selected from populations are having the same distribution. So, ginagamit yung Wilcoxon rank-sum test para mag-compare ng two independent samples or to determine the two independent samples and select that were selected from population that having the same distribution. So next slide please. So here's are the assumptions for the Wilcoxon rank-sum test. First is samples are randomly selected and independent. Second is populations have same or approximately the same shape. So the assum- the assumptions for Wilcoxon rank-sum test is it should have samples that are randomly selected and independent. So dapat daw may kakaibang or randomly selected yung mga samples and independent. So second is the population have same or approximately the same shape. So dapat yung populations din daw ay same or halos parehas sila ng shape or approximately have the same shape. Next slide po, please. So here's are the steps in performing Wilcoxon rank sum test. First is state the null and alternative hypothesis. So null is means no, no statistical significant exists in a set of observation. So walang statistical significance yung yung test na i-determine natin. Dapat daw first is mag-state tayo ng null hypothesis and ng alternative hypothesis. So contrary sila. Kung ang null hypothesis it means wala siyang statistical significance, while the alternative hypothesis it is claimed that there is an effect in population. So dapat meron kang sa first step is that ma-state mo yung null and alternative hypothesis ng isang ng test na i-determine mo. So second is specify level of significance. So level of significance means the measurement of the statistical significance. Third is determine the critical value or use the table for Wilcoxon rank sum test. So sa step 3 um you have to do or you have to make a table or kailangan mong gamitin yung table ng Wilcoxon rank sum test para ma-determine mo yung critical value. So N1 is equal to the smaller sample size, N2 is the larger sample size. So step 4 is compute the value of the test statistics or the W, I think um which is um nag-aano siya as yung sagot or yung Wilcoxon rank sum test. Siya yung
represent.
do you call that? Siya yung represent sa Wilcoxon rank sum test which is W. So here's are the how to create a table with the following header and complete the information. So to make a table, you have to start with the sample from population 1. Second is the overall rank from the lowest to highest. Third is sample from population 2. And next is overall rank from lowest to highest. So, like what I've said, may two populations and you have to rank it from lowest to highest. So, next is the sum of the ranks of the smaller size is the test statistic. If the sample size are equal, either their sums can be ay sorry kay Belen. Okay, sorry po. Kay Miss Belen na pala to. So, the floor is yours, Miss Belen.
Yes, hello, good day everyone. I'm Evelyn Belen and I'm the reporter for this page. So, uh, the step 4 is create table with following header and complete the information. Sa sinabi ni Miss Rhea is, gagawa kayo ng, yun nga, yung sa table is gagawa tayo ng two, meron tayong population 1, then population 2, then need natin, yung, yun nga, the sum of ranks of the smaller size is the test statistic. If the sample are equal, either of their sums can be the test statistic. Yun na nga, na-explain niya na. Then, step 5, make a decision. If a value of the test statistic is less than or equal to the critical value, then reject the null hypothesis. So, the step 5 is gagawa tayo ng decision whether i-reject natin yung null hypothesis or alternative hypothesis. If yung test statistic natin is less than to the critical value, the null hypothesis should be rejected. Then step 6, summarize the interpret the result. The last step which is need nating the last step na to ay which natin, kailangan nating i-summarize yung buong problem based on the step na ginawa natin, and this is the time na mai-interpret natin yung pinaka-result ng problem natin. Then that's it, and let's proceed to the next reporter.
Naririnig po ba ako?
Yes po.
So, ayan po. So, hello everyone. I am Janine Mexico, and I will give the step-by-step example of Wilcoxon rank sum test. So, Miss Carulio, pwede po bang pakibasa yung example?
Sure po. Example number 1. Suppose a human resource director conducts a study in factors on the job satisfaction. He asks the employee to rate their job satisfaction on rating scale from 1, not satisfied, and 100, completely satisfied. The answer of employee in day shift and night shift employees are shown on the side.
So, ayan, thank you po. So, yung nasa gilid po is ito po yung table na kung saan yung mga binigay po nilang ratings pagdating sa job satisfaction nila, which is yung sa day shift, nagbigay sila ng 72, 93, 95, 67, 62, 88, and 87. While yung night shift are 55, 70, 60, 50, and 24. So the question po na we need to answer in this example is if there is a significant difference between insatisfaction rating of the employees in the night and day shift. So, let's proceed po sa step-by-step solution. Next slide po. So, sa step 1 po is state the null and alternative hypothesis. So, dito po, ano nga po ba yung null and alternative hypothesis? When we say null hypothesis, ito po yung nagpre-predict tayo na walang statistical relationship or walang magiging effect sa sets of given. While yung alternative hypothesis is kabaliktaran ng null hypothesis. Dito is predict natin na may statistical relationship or effect yung magiging hypothesis natin sa given. So, sa step 2 is specify level of significance. So, we need to specify yung level of significance which is 0.05. So, bakit naging 0.05? Kung 5% yung naka-indicate sa example natin kanina. Kasi we need to convert it into decimal. So, paano nga po ba natin siya mako-convert into decimal? Siyempre, yung given po is i-divide po natin sa 100. So, 5 divided by 100 is magiging 0.05. So, kaya po siya naging 0.05. So, nakakasunod po ba?
Yes po.
And thank you po. And yung two-tailed test, ito po yung test para sa negative and positive possibility po ng magiging result natin. So, sa step 3 naman po is determine the critical value. So, dito po sa step na to, gagamit na tayo ng table. Yung N1 and N2 natin, ito po yung kung ilan yung given number sa sample size ng night and day shift. Yung N1 is for the given number for smaller sample size. Kaya meron tayong 5 kasi di ba po meron po doon mga given numbers na 55, 70, 60, 50, and 24. Kaya naging 5. While yung N2 is for larger sample size. Kaya meron po tayong 8 given numbers. So, next slide po. So, ito na po yung yung table natin para sa Wilcoxon rank sum test. So, locate the intersection of 5 and 8 for 0.05 two-tailed test. So, yung N1 po natin is makikita po natin sa bandang taas, while yung N2 po natin is makikita natin sa side. So,
So, 'di ba yung N1 po natin is 5 and yung N2 natin is 8. So, titingin lang po tayo sa 5, sa number 5 na nasa N1 nasa taas. Tapos titingin po tayo sa nasa gilid na N2, yung 8 po. So, yung magiging intersection po nila is total of 21. So, kaya po yun yung magiging critical value natin. In this case, the critical value is 21. Naiintindihan po ba? Nakakasunod po.
Yes po.
Yan, thank you po. So, sa step 4 naman po tayo, compute the value of the test statistic or yung W natin. So, dito sa step 4 natin is i-compute natin yung test statistic natin or yung W. But first, kailangan natin i- i-rank yung natin, yung overall sample size natin. So, next slide po. So, ito na po. So, in letter A, create a table with the following header and complete the information. So, dito po, gagawa po tayo ng table and sa table po na yon kailangan may mga information na yung sample population and yung overall rank from lowest to highest. So, i-rank po natin siya as overall. Ibig sabihin po, pagsasamahin po natin yung day shift and night shift sa pag-rank. Kaya magiging first natin is yung 24 since yun yung pinaka-lowest. And yung pinaka-highest natin is yung 95. So sa pagkuha po natin ng test statistic natin is ang i-compute po nating rank is yung sa smaller sample size. So ang magiging W natin is equals to summation of rank sum test of smaller size is equals to 3 plus 4 plus 7 plus 2 plus 1 is equals to 17. So yun po yung magiging test statistic natin is yung 17, which is yung nanggaling po sa sa smaller sample size. So remember po na yung test statistic natin is makukuha po natin siya sa smaller sample size. Next po. So dito naman po sa step 5, make a decision. Since na-compute na po natin yung critical value, test statistic, so kailangan na po natin gumawa dito ng decision. Since na-mention po natin kanina na if the test statistic is less than or equal to critical value, then kailangan natin i-reject yung null hypothesis. And since yung test statistic natin is 17, which is less than siya do sa critical value natin na 21, so we need to reject the null hypothesis. And last step po is yung summarize and interpret the results. Miss Ascucha, pwede po bang pakibasa?
Hello. Naririnig ko ba?
Yes po.
Okay. So there is enough evidence at the 5% level of significance to say that there is a significant difference in the job satisfaction of the those employees in day and night shift. Probably the employees in day shift is more satisfied than those in the night shift.
Ayan, thank you po. So, yung base po sa result natin at 0.05 level of significance is merong difference between dun sa dalawang given sample population natin regarding to sa pag-rate nila sa job satisfaction nila. So, pwedeng yung isa dito, yung isang sample population natin is satisfied while yung isa is hindi. So, probably, yung employees in the shift is more satisfied than dun sa mga employees ng night shift. Nagets po ba yung step 1 to 6? Nakakasunod po.
Yes po.
Ayan, thank you po. So, may I call on Miss Malang to give other example of Wilcoxon rank sum test. Thank you po.
So, ayan po. So, based naman po sa sa given description and definition and sa example po, I assume that you are all quite familiar na sa Wilcoxon rank sum test. By the way, I am Narhaya Clanel D. Malang, and I will make you understand more the Wilcoxon rank sum test. So, for the with the example number 2. Um, can you please read the example number 2, Miss Villa?
Example number 2. The following are the scores from the mathematics prob- proficiency test required all the new incoming students at the particular college. At 0.05 level of significance is there are significant difference in scores between randomly selected freshmen and randomly selected transfer students.
Next slide, please. Yan. So, before we proceed to our solution, we have to identify first what is the problem. So, since Miss Villa read the situation, can you or will you please recognize or identify what is the problem, Miss Villa?
Wait lang po.
Gagi.
I think dun po sa is there a significant difference score between randomly selected freshmen and randomly selected transfer students?
Precisely. Yun po yung problem ng ating example. So, to give solution to the problem, the step one is to state the null and alternative hypothesis. So for the so ito nga po based sa sinabi rin ng ating previous reporter which is Miss Mexico, the hypothesis predict the result of yung result po ng ating test. So the null hypothesis is there is no significant difference in scores between randomly selected from freshmen and transfer students. And the alternative hypothesis is there is significant difference in scores between randomly selected from freshmen and transfer students. For the step number 2 is we have to specify the level of significance. So our level of significance is alpha, our alpha is equal to 0.05. Given na rin naman po yung 0.05, so we don't have to convert it to decimal because it is already in decimal form na po. So for the step number 3, we have to determine the critical value. So we have to use the U table. So first, our sample size or n sub 1 is 6 and our n sub 2 is 7. So saan ba 'to nakuha? Saan ba 'to nakuha? Nakuha lang po natin yung sa sample size. So based dun sa may table na pinakita kanina, yung sa transferred, yung sa mga yun nga po sa table, makikita po natin yung sample size po nung una is 6, which is 6 po yung binigay na scores. On the other hand po, sa kabilang table is 7 or yung 7 po yung binigay na scores ng students. Next slide please. Yan. So, yung table na to is tinatawag na U table. So, it is used to identify the critical value. So, to locate the or we have to get the intersection of 6 and 7 to get the critical value. So, ayan po, kailangan lang po natin hanapin yung intersection ng 6 and 7. So, sa upper part is dyan po natin hahanapin yung n sub 2, while sa left part po, sa baba, dyan po natin mahahanap or dyan po nakalocate yung n sub 1. So, we just have to locate the 6 and 7. So, in this case, the critical value is 56. For the step number 4, we have to compute of the test statistics. Next slide, please. Yan. So before yung pinaka first step muna natin for to compute po is to create a table with the following header and complete the information. So, based po dyan sa table na pinapakita, ito po yung scores ng freshman and transferee. Katabi ng freshman is yung rankings and katabi ng transferee is yung rankings. So, paano nga ba nakuha yung rankings? So, let me show you, not my screen, but my notes. Wait lang. Oh my gosh, kita ba? Kita nyo ba?
Yes po.
Yan. So, dito, ito yung scores. We just have to arrange it descending order. So, mauna yung pinaka list or yung pinaka mababa and here's the ranking. So, as you can see, bakit may 3.5? Because there are similar numbers here. Yung 32 pares na 32. So, paano nakuha 3.5 yan? We just have to get the mean of the 3 and 4. 'Di ba alam naman na rin naman natin kung paano kunin ang mean. So, we have just to add the 4 plus, or I mean 3 plus 5, i-divide mo lang sa 2 hanggang sa mag-get natin ang 3.5 which is the mean. So, yan po yung rankings. So, ayan. So, napakita ko na po kung paano ipakita yung rankings. So, I assume na rin po kung na nagigets nyo po kung or kung paano nangyari yung sa rankings dito. So, dun lang po yung base. So, after that, we have to get the summation po ng scores po. Tapos yung pinaka-list po yung kukunin natin. So, after that, since the smaller sample size is in randomly selected transfer students, the test statistic is 53. So, paano nakuha yung 53 is we just have to add the 9 plus 5 plus 6 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12. At saan po yun makikita? Dito po yun sa rankings and transfer because yun po yung ends up to which is the least po, sample size. Next, please. Next slide po. Yan. So for the step number 5, we have to make a decision. So the test statistic of 53 less than critical value of 56. So we have to reject the null hypothesis dahil yung 53 po is less than the critical value of 56. So, and nga po, we have to reject the null hypothesis. For the step number 6, dito na po makikita yung results which is and isa-summarize, interpret po natin siya. Can please someone read po the interpretation?
There
Miss
is
Belen, can you please read?
enough evidence at 0.05 level of signification to say that
Hello?
there is a significant
Okay,
difference.
Miss Villa. Thank you.
There is enough evidence at 0.05 level of significance to say that there is a significant difference in the score between randomly selected freshmen and randomly selected transfers.
Yan. So, based sa interpretation, since since there is enough evidence at 0.05 level, masasabi po natin there is significant between the scores of freshmen and transfer students. That's all. Thank you.
Yes po, rinig po. Game na po.
So, for the continuation, the normal approximation to the Wilcoxon round sum test. So, anyone who can read the definition, may I call on Miss Villanueva?
The no
Okay,
no.
thank you. May I call on
Ay,
Miss
ako po.
Villanueva to read the definition?
The normal approximation to the
Anyone who can read.
Naririnig po ako?
Yes po.
Okay po.
Anyone po na pwedeng magbasa?
Di ba ako naririnig?
Rinig naman po. Proceed na po.
Sige po. The normal approximation to the Wilcoxon rank sum test When n1 and n2 are both greater than or equal to 10, a normal approximation to the Wilcoxon sum test can be used.
Proceed na po.
So, ayan, thank you po. So, pabalik po sa first slide po. Thank you. So, I think Miss Capistrano having an internet problem. So, thank you, Miss Villanueva, for reading the slide. So, the normal approximation to the Wilcoxon rank sum test. So, kung kanina po, sa Wilcoxon rank sum test is yung N1 natin and N2 has a possibility na different yung total nila. So, dito naman po is yung N1 and N2, kapag greater than or equal sila to 10 is dito na po tayo gagamit ng normal approximation, which is gagamit din po tayo ng normal distribution table. So next po, thank you. So this is the steps in normal approximation to the Wilcoxon rank sum test. So sa step 1 is state the null and alternative hypothesis. Like yung sa kanina po sa Wilcoxon rank sum test is syempre magpre-predict din po tayo ng mga possibility na magkakaroon siya ng effect and no effect. Sa step 2 naman po is specify level of significance and find the critical value using the normal distribution table. So dito naman po is syempre meron din tayong level of significance and yung critical value. So dito naman po, unlike sa kanina, is gumamit po tayo ng table for Wilcoxon rank sum test. Dito naman po is gagamit tayo ng normal distribution table. Familiar naman na po tayo sa normal distribution table, di ba po? Familiar po ba tayo?
Yes po.
So ayan, thank you po. So, and thank you. So step 3 is compute the value of the test statistic. So in this case, the test statistic will be letter Z. Kung kanina is W yung test statistic natin, dito naman po is it will be Z. So first, katulad ng kanina, is create a table with the following header and complete the information. Next slide po. So dito naman po is yung table natin is katulad din po ng kanina is meron tayong sample from population and yung overall rank from lowest to highest. So dito po is yung sum ng smaller sample size, ito po yung kailangan natin para ma-compute yung sample size natin, ay yung sample size natin, which is yung magiging test statistic natin. And if the sample sizes are equal, it's either of their sums can be used. So, di ba meron po tayong n sub 1 and n sub 2? So, kung parehas po sila ng sample size or yung total ng sample sizes nila, is pwede po natin gamitin, it's either po sa dalawa. It can be n sub 1 or it can be n sub 2. So next is the formula for the test statistic Z, approximation to the Wilcoxon rank sum test. So ito po yung formula niya yung nasa gilid. Nakikita po ba yung formula? Nakikita po yung formula niya.
Yes po.
And so thank you. So yung formula niya po is Z is equals to W minus n sub 1 times n sub 1 plus n sub 2 plus 1 is divided by 2. And yung total po nito is i-divide to the square root of n sub 1 and n sub 2 times n sub 1 plus n sub 2 plus 1 is divided by 12. Next slide po. So, since nasabi na po natin yung formula natin kanina, so, where W is the sum of the rank of smaller sample size, and N1 is the smaller sample size, and the N sub 2 is the larger sample size. So, yung test, test statistic natin is makukuha din natin to sa sum of the rank of the smaller sample size. So, next natin is step 4, which is gagawa na tayo ng decision. So, if the absolute value of the test statistic is greater than or equal to critical value, then reject the null hypothesis. Compared dun sa kanina na rank Wilcoxon rank sum test is yung less than or equal yung test, test statistic natin sa critical value, kailangan nating i-reject. Dito naman sa normal approximation is i-reject natin yung null hypothesis natin if the test statistic is greater than or equal to the critical value. Then the last step is summarize and interpret the results. So for the example, may I call on Miss Bananya to give an example. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Mexico. And good morning, everyone. I am Patricia Ani Bananya, and I'm going to discuss about the problem number one or the example number one. So here, a budget head of a certain company wanted to know whether there is a difference in the daily travel expense of office staff and sales staff. He randomly selected 11 office staff and 12 staff, sales staff, and asked their daily travel expense. Table below shows the answer. So in this case, are talking about the difference in a daily travel expense between the office staff and sales staff. And for the office staff, there is a 11 respondents. They answered it as 50, 130, 150, 45, 100, 70, 80, 90, 75, 180, and 85. And for the sales staff, 190, 180, 105, 120, 160, 100, 140, 170, 200, 110, 85, and 60. So the question at the for this problem, at 5% level of significance, can he conclude that there is difference in their daily travel expense? However, they already have the conclusion of 5% level of significance. Question: would it be possible or not? I mean, the 5% level of significance would be possible or not? So the question the question is how did they get a 5% level of significance on their daily travel expense? The next slide, please. For the solution, as has been said by Miss Mexico, step one: state the null and alternative hypothesis. HO: there is no significant difference in their daily travel. So I answered it safely that would it be possible or not? There is a significant difference in the daily travel allowance of sales and office staff. Step 2: specify level of significance and find the critical value using the normal distribution table. A is equal to 0.05, 2 tails test. G critical is equal to positive and negative 1.96. Next slide po. Next po, Thank you. For the step 3, compute the value of the test statistic. In this case, the test statistic will be based A. Complete the information. So you will write down on the table the office staff over rank, overall rank from lowest to highest. On the sales staff also, the overall rank from lowest to highest. Next slide. Thank you. Letter B. Choose the smallest sample size in the group of office staff, then get sum of their rank. W is equal to 2 plus 15 plus 17 plus 1 plus 10.5 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 5 plus 20.5 plus 9 plus is equal to 98. So for the letter C, use the formula for the test statistic D, approximation to the Wilcoxon rank sum test. Ito po yung formula, W is equal to 98, N1 is equal to 11, N2 is equal to 12. The 11 shows here is for the office staff and the N2 is for N2 equals 12 is for the sales staff. W and W wait lang po. W minus N1 times N1 plus N2 plus 1 is divided by 2 and the answer will be divided into N1 N1 N2 times N1 plus N2 plus 1 divided by 12. 98 minus 11 times 11 plus 12 plus 1 divided into 2 and the answer will be divided into times 12 times 12 and then times 11 plus 12 plus 1 is divided by 12. 98 minus 11 times 24 divided by 2 and the answer will be divided into 11 times 24 is equal to negative 2.093. Next slide po. Step 4, make a decision. The absolute value of negative 2.093 is 0.093 and it is greater than the critical value of 1.96. The decision is to reject the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis will be 85%. So it will be rejected because it is greater than the critical value of 1.96. And then the step 5, summarize and interpret the results. There is enough evidence at 5% level of significance to say that there is a significant difference in the daily travel expense of office and the sales staff. Probably the travel expense of sales staff is higher than the office staff due to the fact that they were going to different places to look for potential sales. That's it po. Thank you.
So, again, thank you po. For the generalization naman po, so our lessons is all about Wilcoxon, which is under siya ng non-parametric and rank sum test, and independent samples and normal approximation. So, yung independent samples naman po, ito yung mga given sample, population and randomly selected sample. Also, we discussed the different steps to follow to come up with that. And also, the Wilcoxon is the Mann-Whitney U test. And sometimes, tinatawag na natin tong Mann-Whitney-Wilcoxon test. So, o the Wilcoxon rank sum test. Ito yung ginagamit sa test whether two samples are likely to derive from the same population or the two population have the same. Yun lang po. Thank you.
So, ayan, thank you po sa participation. So, meron po ba kayong questions or clarifications po before po tayo mag-end ng meet? Any questions po?
Wala po.
Naintindihan naman po ba yung discussion?
Yes po.
Yes po.
So, thank you po sa mga responses. And I think pwede na po tayo mag-end. Thank you po sa pakikipag-participate and cooperate. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Okay na yun.
Oo, be.